Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1987's Beverly Hills Cop 2. Before we get started, if you want to reach out, follow me and Corey on Twitter. You could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Corey_idol. As always, you could follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Kiss the Reviews. So let's get into the cast, because this is a long one, of Beverly Hills Cop 2. This film stars Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley, Judge Reinhold as Billy Rosewood, Jürgen Prochnow as Maxwell Dent, Ronny Cox as Andrew Bogomil, John Ashton as John Taggart, Brigitte Nielsen as Karla Fry, Dean Stockwell as Chip Cain, Gilbert Hill as Inspector Todd, Paul Reiser as Jeffrey Friedman, and Alan Garfield as Harold Lutz.
So many people in this movie.
Absolutely.
And I could just talk about the cast. Like, we don't even have to talk about the movie. I could just talk about how fantastic this cast is, because Inspector Todd, easily the best of these, what is now the cliched angry police captain.
Yes.
He is the best.
All I smell is your bullshit.
Paul Reiser. Obviously, we've sung his praises time and time again. And
Yes.
if you haven't seen it, and I'll give full credit to Armando for this, he is in a show called Reboot right now on Hulu. One, probably the funniest show that's actually on the air right now with new content. And two, Paul Reiser fucking crushes it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And obviously, you know, you get into the Taggart, Rosewood, and Axel Foley's relationship in this movie.
Yeah,
is phenomenal.
absolutely.
And you can tell how comfortable they were with each other, how much they enjoyed being around each other.
Yes.
It was a totally different world from this. This looked like three friends shooting a movie with a shitload of money.
Absolutely. And I'm actually surprised, not surprised, I shouldn't say that, but I didn't know that Eddie Murphy wrote this.
No, neither did I.
So when I was looking at the writers, it was Danilo Bach and Daniel Petrie, I think, that did the it was characters based on those guys' writings from the first film. Sure. But the story was written by Eddie Murphy. And I never realized that until this time around.
Yeah, no, neither did I, but it actually makes a lot of sense, because when I was watching this, I came away from it going, it's not as much of a comedy this go around as it is an actual cop movie.
Yeah, it's an action cop then comedy.
Yeah, like a lot of the comedy got stripped down to when he is doing his characters or trying to get the information outside of the law, which is totally fine. I love 100%. It. I've said before, I like this better than the first one, and spoiler alert, I still do.
Same.
And I think that's why. It's his bravado and his improv and his characters are much more believable in the situations this go around, and they seem much more polished this time around.
Yeah.
Whereas in the first one, it was more like, let's do SNL skits, and the general premise is you're a cop.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. This was way more polished. I forgot how much better. Like, the storyline's really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the alphabet crimes and all of that. Like, everything was really good. It was well shot. It just on film, it looked better.
Yes, this was a big budgeted, classic 80s cop movie.
Absolutely.
That also happened to be really funny. Which hats off to Eddie, one, for writing himself into a movie, which is probably the only way anybody was ever going to cast him in an actual action movie.
Yeah.
And two, to pull it off, because he does a fantastic job in this role. Again.
Absolutely. So let's jump into this. So this movie opens up. It's 2 years roughly after the first one took place. Mm-hmm. And the movie opens with Karla Fry and her crew going into a jewelry store and robbing it. They are very organized as she times everything out to the police response, and they bounce as she leaves the first alphabet letter. This starts the whole alphabet crime.
And I love the detail, too, here in the writing, where once she calls time, they just lay down blanket fire, destroying all the shit. So it looks just a little sloppier.
It looks like a smash and grab.
Exactly.
Yep.
Your eyewitnesses will say one thing, but from the looks of it, if your detectives are kind of stupid, which most cops are in these movies, that's what they're going to find.
Exactly. So it then cuts to Bogomil calling Foley, cancels their upcoming fishing trip because he's looking into something, which we later find out is the alphabet crimes. They then cut to Chief Lutz calling Bogomil, Taggart, and Rosewood into his office. So now you have to have this character, which is, you know, the chief who has a relationship with the mayor, and he's got to be this asshole. And they went completely over the top with the Lutz character in this one. And
he is the polar opposite of Inspector Todd.
Yes.
Because Inspector Todd is gruff, and he's out there, and he's fucking shouting and yelling, and he's even will berate you.
Yeah.
Much like Lutz does. Only difference is, Todd still lets his cops be cops.
Yeah. Lutz
He's
is
not
more
threatened
concerned.
by the talent.
Yeah, Lutz is more concerned with political aspirations and those types of things. Apparently here, because Rosewood called his buddy at the FBI to help solve this case, Lutz suspends Bogomil and he puts Taggart and Rosewood on traffic duty. And after leaving the precinct, Bogomil pulls over to help this woman on the side of the road, who is Karla. He's then shot twice and left for dead with another alphabet letter.
And, you know, Flavor of Love really destroyed the image of Brigitte Nielsen, because flat out, she could bring it. I mean, she's 80s bringing it, but she's bringing it.
Okay, Brigitte Nielsen, now coming from, I'm only 5'8", okay? I ain't even gonna lie. I know I arch my back a little bit, make myself seem a little taller, but I am 5'8". When these movies came out, I was probably about 4'9", and young, dumb, and full of cum. And Brigitte Nielsen, to me, was the hottest woman on the planet. And she was, 6 foot, 6'1", something like that. And watching this film now, also a very good actress.
Yeah.
Like you said, she brought it. 80s brought it, whether it was this, Rocky.
Oh, yeah, great.
But I think you're right. Like, she gets no credit for the talent that she had as an actress. And I think you're right. Flavor of Love really fucking killed that. And that was where that, like, because there isn't hate, just nobody talks about her. And I think that's why. Cut to Foley now. He's in Detroit. He's working undercover on this credit card fraud case. He sees on the news that Bogomil was shot, and he calls the hospital and speaks to Bogomil's daughter and Rosewood. And Rosewood tells Foley that things have changed in Beverly Hills now. They're under new management. And the only thing that I found unbelievable about this movie was the fact that in Detroit, on the local news, they would have a random story about a police captain in Beverly Hills that got shot.
Well, this was back in the 80s, before that shit was, like, you know, normal, where it's just like tens of people got shot today and it barely made the news. Like, this was probably a big deal back then, especially for a high-ranking cop in Beverly Hills to be shot.
Good point.
Yeah, the part that this is the one thing I didn't like. So Axel goes into ride or die mode, which you should.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to be with your boys. But the way he, like, it, and I understand you want to stay away from the first one where it's like, I got a couple weeks vacation coming up, I'm going to take it now. Right? But this whole, like, I'm still on the case and I got 3 days, Paul Reiser drive my Ferrari, but don't let anybody know it's you thing, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that aspect of it.
Well, the funny thing is, and
because it just didn't make much sense.
Because I was thinking about it, because he's got the two guys there after he sees the news, and he kind of like, he postpones the deal by making up an excuse that I don't want to work with this guy. And it's like, well, you could bust them right now. and then literally leave tomorrow.
Yeah, the guy says he has credit cards with him.
Yeah.
Because I got 2,000 credit cards right now. You want them?
Yeah.
Cool, let's do this. You're under arrest. Bye, I'm leaving.
Exactly. So, yeah, no, you're right. That whole thing with, I mean, but I guess he needed to write Paul Reiser some shit in here. So there's the excuse on why he had to do that. So Foley then goes to Beverly Hills. He immediately goes to the hospital, tells Rosewood and Taggart that he wants to see the letters and help with this case. After leaving the hospital, Axel finds a mansion that's under construction and pretends to be the building inspector so he can shut everything down and stay there. The comedy in this movie is just peppered throughout, and it's scenes like this. It's quick, minute and a half type scenes where Eddie Murphy just doing Eddie Murphy things. And this scene is absolutely hilarious. Anytime he gets into character.
Oh, yeah.
He's just fucking brilliant. And again, everybody watching this, we're going to kiss Eddie Murphy's ass for, I don't know, another, half an hour or so. But it's just, I don't know what else needs to be said.
I don't know about you, but the first time I ever saw somebody say something to somebody like, hey, put that shit down, quit hammering. Are you not hearing me? Put the shit down. Like, I have never stopped doing that since this movie. Whether I'm going to get canceled or not is fine. That's totally cool. I understand. It was inevitable anyway.
Yeah.
But I have not been able to stop doing that when an abled hearing person cannot hear me or is not listening to me. I have to do that.
Foley then goes to the police station to get some more info on the alphabet case. Rosewood and Taggart agree to help him out here. And working with the clue of a shell casing, Axel goes into the Beverly Hills Gun Club to investigate. And we also see Cain here and Dent. They're meeting to discuss why Foley's there. And then this is where Dent orders Foley to be killed.
I know I'm the resident gun guy on the show, but I need somebody much more smarter than me to come out and actually let me know. Is this really like that big of where, it's a 308 shell cut down to a 44? Is that how you do it? You just look, clearly that's what this is. Especially when it's that rare to where there's only a couple people that can do this. That precisely.
That I don't know.
That seems a little weird to me, that you would just be able to identify that quickly, immediately. Like, oh yeah, that's what this is. Duh. Especially when everybody else is like, oh, really? I know we've established in the other movie that the Beverly Hills cops aren't great cops. They don't have that, street smarts, so to speak. But they spent a whole case with Axel. Nothing rubbed off on them? It's still the same fucking dipshit guys?
Yeah, pretty much.
That was my literal one beef.
Okay, you had that beef, and mine isn't necessarily a beef, more of just a generalized question. So when he goes into the gun club, which, again, this one's funny, getting into the gun club, his character there. But he gets into the gun club, and you got the guy that he's talking to about the shell casing, then Brigitte Nielsen comes in. But you have these people shooting with it. They're basically, is it like fucking laser tag? Because you hear guns. You hear the shots of guns being fired at all the different fucking ranges there. But there's a video screen in the back. And then Axel takes out his gun, puts holes in the fucking screen, does his little fucking flip, and then back and does the laugh. How is there gunshots if it's like a laser taggy kind of thing? And if it's a gun club, how do you practice at the gun range if there's no kickback on the like, that was my whole question after watching 10, 15 seconds of that actual scene. I was like, this isn't even a gun range if that's a thing. Is it all simulated kickback?
Yeah, that's like literally, I just chalked that up to fucking people in Beverly Hills.
Well, that's kind of what I chalked it up to as well.
Because you're right, there is zero recoil whatsoever. I mean, they've got people firing like shotguns with the laser tag thing on it, and there's zero recoil whatsoever. And it's like, dude, if you pick up a real shotgun in like a home defense situation, you're going to die. You're going to rip your shoulder off because you have zero idea what's coming. Yeah. Those things fucking hurt if you don't put them in the right spot.
Oh, absolutely. Foley then here starts making the connection between the robberies and Dent. He then asks Bogomil's daughter Jan to use her connections as an insurance agent to find out about Dent's financial dealings, and Axel finds Bogomil's sneakers covered in like this red mud or clay or whatever in the closet. And then we get the strip club scene where Axel tells everyone that Taggart is former President Gerald Ford. This strip club scene is gold. The one from part one was very good and funny. And it sets up, who Axel is as a cop, and he's a good cop, blah, blah, blah. You don't need that setup because it's already there. Right. So this, from front to back, is just jokes.
Oh, yeah, this scene this time is more to demonstrate, I think, how much more comfortable and used to Axel's bullshit Rosewood and Taggart actually are. Yeah. Well, where they just go along with it. Like, Taggart at first is like, my name's John Taggart. And Rosewood's like, that's what he goes by now because Betty Ford's divorcing him and she wants the clinic. Like, he just jumps on it immediately. And Rosewood, before they met in the first one, was about as green as they fucking come.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that dude has ever told a lie.
Yeah.
So you could see where he's just easing more into it. And by the end of this, Taggart is also there as well. Like, he's just fucking done.
Yeah. No, and they're all going along with it. And as they leave the club, the hit on Axel is almost attempted, but Axel shoots the men. They crash the car. They get away. Corey's life lessons.
Hi, would-be hitmen. If you're like 2 feet away from somebody and you can't hit your target, find another line of work. Like my guy, what was his name? Strike Encounter or Clockers?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, if you can't do the job yourself, fucking bail. These guys suck.
No,
they're walking, they're on like the 3rd step from being on ground level, and you're right in front of the steps, ground level, and you can't hit them
from 15 feet away. So Chief Lutz here shows up immediately at the scene, 5 seconds after this car crashes, and Axel tells him that he's part of a multi-jurisdictional task force and tells him to call Inspector Todd to confirm his identity. Axel bounces, and then he calls Jeffrey to pretend that he's Inspector Todd, so when Lutz calls, he's got all his bases covered. Then Foley, Rosewood, and Taggart go to the gun club. They break in after hours. After getting into Cain's office, Foley finds map coordinates, and they get into the police computers and figure out that it's the bank depository. A couple of things. And I know we did it before we started recording, but I don't even have to. If the dating game, if I was just flipping through channels and the dating game came on, I don't even think of the dating game. I think of Beverly Hills Cop 2. The whole
This whole scene in Billy's apartment is fantastic.
Absolutely.
And absolutely. What I liked about this one was he gave more time because you knew who Axel was.
Yep.
He gave more time to Billy and Taggart's background, and especially Billy, because Judge Reinhold was massive by the time the second one came out.
Yep.
So they gave him much more story and making him kind of this gun nut, Clint Eastwood, action junkie.
Yeah.
And he's got all these plants as friends. And I actually did have a turtle in the 6th grade. I made my parents get me one. And I did name it Big Al.
Who's this? Big Al.
I never owned a turtle, but if I did, I'd buy 2, and they'd be Cuff and Link.
Yeah, of course they would.
The three amigos then drive to the bank depository as the robbery is taking place. And after following the tracks of the pickup vehicle, they arrive at the Playboy Mansion where Foley accosts Maxwell Dent.
And we meet a young Chris Rock.
Yes, we meet a young Chris Rock. Everything in this series of scenes. So they get to the bank depository. That the truck's leaving. They're trying to get there. Rosewood crashes. Like everything leading up to and including the Playboy Mansion is fantastic.
The cement truck.
Rosewood stealing the cement truck and
the
driving
ridiculous chase. The authorized when they shoot the bell.
Yeah.
All of this is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just fantastic. And then, of course, the Playboy Mansion,
That's
outside of the iconic cameo by Hef and the back and forth here, which, again, is brilliant how he gets in there, even with the shit in the pool and all that.
Yeah.
Someone had a little, how would we say, accident in the pool.
Accident?
You know what it's like when you people have these wild parties after somebody got drunk and shit in the pool, okay? I'm here to clean the shit up.
I would be remiss if I did not say that if you were ever going to throw a party, invite my man watching the volleyball game with a martini in his hand, a tuxedo, and having the best day of every male that attends a party at the Playboy Mansion should have as good a time as that motherfucker was having right then and there.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know if he gets a movie credit at all because he has no speaking lines. I don't know if he's just like guy with drink dancing. Like, I don't know if he gets any credit at all, but whoever he is, he's probably 70 at this point.
Yep.
I remember him more than actual actors and actresses.
Oh, full disclosure, that's how I look when the show comes out every Friday.
Hoo-ah.
That's my inner personality that I want to come out when I'm at any party.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I sit in the corner and I complain about things, but that's neither here nor there. I want to be that guy.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
They then find Dent's accountant, Sidney Bernstein, the late, great Gilbert Gottfried, and they use his computer to find out that Dent and Karla are planning to leave the country. And then Jan tells Foley that all of Dent's businesses have let their insurance lapse except for his racetrack.
So we talk about in movies how the best way to watch a movie is being able to truly empathize with one of the characters and put yourself in one of these characters' positions. And a lot of people identify themselves with the main character in the movie, or even like the good secondary character. And I always used to be under the impression that I was Rosewood. That's just kind of more of the character I was. I'm not going to be egomaniac and be like, I'm Axel Foley. Look how funny I am. No, I'd shit my pants if I tried to like steal somebody's house. There's no way I could pull that off. I'm more of a Rosewood. However, after watching it this time and knowing the paranoid neuroses and my inability to shut the fuck up, I am 100% Sidney Bernstein in this movie.
Don't I know it?
Right. Back then, I was too young. He was just the funny little guy with the weird voice.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back now, man, I truly appreciate Gilbert Gottfried for who he was and how good of an actor. And it didn't matter what role he was playing, if it was a cameo, whatever. Mm-hmm. He was so good. Whatever role you put him in, which was typically like the little old angry Jewish guy, typically. Don't
say that. Sorry, Kanye. Sorry.
Sorry, Ye. But he crushed it every fucking time. And this scene is no different.
No, you're 100% correct. Dude, he's the parrot in goddamn Aladdin. Like every one of his scenes was pretty much shared with Robin Williams and he went toe for toe with him. Yeah, he's great. And if you ever hear me like literally scream bitch, that's me paying homage to Gilbert.
Bitch!
They then head over to the racetrack. Foley also solves this last alphabet riddle, which implicates Cain as like the alphabet bandit, but Foley's not buying it. So they get there a little too late to stop the actual robbery, and they find Cain's dead body. Lutz then here outside the racetrack announces to the press that they've solved the alphabet crimes, going back to like clockers, like things that are totally believable from a certain character. Like, yeah, cops totally act like this. And the Lutz character, that's totally in his character and in his personality. But like, this is a total like police chief thing to do. Like, yes, my team of computer analysts got on the thing and they were all, and he's in front of the press. And my favorite, and it's a throwaway line. And he's like, are you hearing me?
Carlos, which, as you all know, is Spanish for Charles. Do you hear what I'm saying, Manny?
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, future politicians. Uncle Corey here. When you're in front of the media, you need to take your backroom person and change him completely, like a total 180.
Yes.
Because when you start telling the press, like, his name is Carlos. Carlos means Charles. You get it? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing what I'm saying, Manny? And Manny is a member of the press. They are going to fucking bury you.
Yes.
Don't do, like, bring it all the way down, dude. You are out of control at this point, Lutz. You couldn't run for fucking dog catcher in your county and win.
So after this, Foley then notices some red mud at the stables by the horses, which leads him, Taggart, and Rosewood to Dent's oil field right next door to the racetrack, apparently, where Dent is making like his final arms deal. Them getting into the oil field area is another scene that jumps out at me that I loved as a kid, and to this day still makes me laugh out loud. So they sneak onto Dent's property here. They're going around the truck, and they got like the old fat like Italian guy, like the little, and he does the whole, do you like rap music? I don't know why. It's a very small 10, 15 second clip, but it is so laugh out loud funny to me.
I'm smiling.
Smile real big. Now let's do a rap together. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
Say ow.
Yow.
What sticks out to me in this one, and where I keep going back with the Eddie Murphy writing the side characters so well in this one, is again, you have Rosewood now taking out his trench coat, taking out all these shotguns. His trunk is full of shit. He's finding the rocket launcher when they get there. Just his character going so fucking overboard here.
Yes.
Is fantastic.
No, that was probably one of the best written things in this script.
Yes.
Like that's where his character went. Because again, in part one, we've already established he was very green, you know, brand new to the force. Everything was by the book and yada yada. And he went from that and the departure to this character who he's gone completely to the other side. He owns every gun imaginable, the trench coats, the whole nine. Like, that arc is fucking incredible. And Eddie Murphy, we always talk about what a disservice people do in writing certain characters. Eddie Murphy did such a service to Judge Reinhold in this. It was 100%. Amazing.
Now let's give Billy a big dating game kiss.
You could see where Eddie's thought process is here, which is basically Taggart's going to stay the straight man.
Yeah.
Rosewood is going to take the majority of the comedy here just based off of who his character is going to be.
Yes.
And that way I can focus on being an action star.
Yes.
It makes total sense.
No,
and
absolutely.
He did it so well. Well. And it stands out. I mean, to this day, anytime I have a friend that goes overboard on anything, I will literally say to them, Jesus, Billy, we need to talk.
Jesus Christ, Billy, we gotta talk.
They're now on the property. They're sneaking around, trying to see shit. Rosewood tries to break into the window using Axel's little alarm trick. He sets off the alarm, and they get into a shootout with everyone at this oil field that's involved in this arms deal.
It's so fantastic, too, how cocky and confident he is. And I don't care who you are, you have all been that person.
Absolutely.
Who's been so cocky in front of your friend. You can't fucking do this. Oh, yeah, I can. Simple. It's simple. All you do is this, then you connect the da-da-da, and it's done. Oh, shit, it didn't work. Everybody has been in that position.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
Yep.
And Judge Reinhold's reaction to this and like fumbling with the fucking everything he's got in his hand and the rocket launcher slips off his shoulder. It's so fucking funny.
and that's what I like about the Rosewood character too, because I know we're like, oh, he's over the top and he's this gun nut and yada yada, but he also has that like, that it's almost like this boyish buffoonery.
Oh yeah, he's he's like a baby fucking doe, like a baby deer, like a fawn, just fucking boom.
Yeah. But he's so confident in himself and his abilities, and then you get the fumbling around. Him using the rocket launcher and he's reading the directions.
Yep.
And he hits the thing. But this whole shootout here is shot really well. It's a really good, it's pretty quick. But after Taggart and Rosewood then get everyone wrangled up, the cops show up to make the arrests. And while all that's going on, Foley tracks down Dent and Karla.
It's a great scene.
Yes.
I mean, just the shooting with the chains and this seems like very Tony Scott kind of directing right here. Like this way this camera shot is set up.
Yeah.
But inside that, this is where I realized when he started speaking who our friend Jürgen was.
Who is he? I'd say he's a cop.
But tried to place in most of this movie and couldn't. And the second he opened his mouth, I went, yo, that's the fucking bad guy from Beer Fest.
Holy shit. I didn't even put two and two together. He's totally the bad guy from Beer Fest.
Prepare your things. We are going to America.
In this, he goes, well, Mr. Foley. And I go, I know who the fuck that is.
Hell yes.
And mad respect to the Broken Lizard guys for putting the bad guy from Beverly Hills Cop 2 in your movie.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's great. Dent then crashes through the wall in his car as Foley shoots Dent through the windshield. His car goes off the cliff there. His car explodes. And then while he's on the ground, Karla stands in front of Foley and is about to kill him, but Taggart blows her away. And there's a lot of memorable scenes and a lot of memorable characters and people in this movie. But I remember this so vividly the first time I saw it, because it's normally, and I think even Eddie Murphy in his stand-up did a bit about getting shot. It's like, you're the star guy and you're like, and you see people getting shot, but I'd never seen somebody get so violently blown away before I saw this. This was the first time, because she gets shot 6 feet into a fucking wall.
You were right.
I was glad they did it, because normally, a woman would have to just be arrested. She'll give up.
Yeah.
But no, she was going to go down with the ship. She was as hard as any of those motherfucking other criminals were, if not harder. She needed to go.
Yep.
And where I laughed at it was like, oh, this was the one scene you couldn't make today. If you were to remake this movie, that's the one scene, because Taggart's line is,
Women.
fucking hilarious scene. It's great, because this whole movie he's going through this fucking divorce.
Yep.
And that's all they talk about with his character is this fucking Marine, his ex-wife, will not come home and all the problems they have.
Yes.
And so for him to drop that line after doing that, fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, great.
But you're right, because I mean it's not just a throwaway line, or it's just like, women, huh? It's set up throughout the whole movie because of what he's going through with his wife, and now at the end he kills her, and then the line. If it's just the line, it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess for 87, like, sure, let's make a joke about women, but it's still not gonna land right if you don't set it up with the rest of it. So
100%.
Even with that, it's set up perfectly. But after this, Lutz shows up and he's firing everyone and suspending people. And the mayor is there for some reason. And he fires Lutz for being a dick. And you get Rosewood and Taggart going off on Lutz here. But I also have a quick don't do that.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, mayors and politicians. Why are you showing up at the crime scene? Don't ever do that. We talk about bad guys, the main bad guy, the leader of the crew, showing up at all the things. Don't show up at the things. And why are you there? He's like, I gotta go to a charity event and yada yada. And it does add some comic relief because Eddie gives him the $200 that he got from Bernstein. Okay, cool. But the movie would have still been a banger without that joke. Like, the mayor doesn't need to be there. What are you doing at an active crime scene?
Yeah. I don't. Even if, like, I can understand you trying to explain, well, it's been a big deal and the alphabet crimes, and this was a huge, like, explosion and firefights so close and But again, like you said, he doesn't need to be there.
No, it's not like he's there for a fucking photo op. There's no camera crews there or anything.
He's not a war correspondent. Like, there's no reason for him to be there at that moment.
Absolutely.
I don't get it, but whatever.
But whatever, it was still funny.
That's one of those mock scenes in, like, all these satirical films where, like, at the very end of the movie, just everybody shows up all at once. Like Matthew McConaughey showing up at the end of Tropic Thunder in the middle of the fucking battle. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what that is.
So at the end here, Bogomil is made chief of police by the mayor. Foley gets yelled at one more time by Inspector Todd, and Foley heads back to Detroit. And as Foley drives away from the mansion that he was staying in, the owners show up, and then we get another freeze frame on Eddie Murphy as he's looking back at Rosewood and Taggart because he left them in a predicament with the owners of the mansion.
I love the scene with the mayor talking to Inspector Todd.
Yes.
If you ever wanted to get a real good glimpse of, like, race relations, like, that's really how, because white people, like, and he said, because of your exemplary service, and the mayor's smiling, like, I got your back, Axel. And Axel's like, oh, shit. Because as soon as Inspector Todd, what the fuck you telling them people, Axel?
Expert tutelage? What the fuck have you been telling them?
Again, his reaction, because you have the mayor like, oh, he told us all the, under your expert tutelage.
Yep.
And he was just like, and he just gets it pisses him off even more.
Right.
And then he rails on fucking Foley. Like, that whole piece is great. The whole thing with Inspector Todd yelling at Foley about the Ferrari.
Your secret undercover partner, Mario Andretti Friedman, wrecked the goddamn Ferrari.
Just that whole thing. And again, the movie wraps up on like 3 or 4 jokes, just like one on top of the other.
Even Paul Reiser, he hung up. He hung up, like him having the gall to be so outraged that he was just hung up on.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, and then you have the owners at the end with the mansion, dude. This again, I know we tongue kissed this one for however long this review lasted, but it deserves it.
Yes.
It deserves more credit than I think it does than it gets.
Yes.
Because the first one, Beverly Hills Cop, was so good. And because it was the first one, it overshadows the second one. But the second one, by far, as a film, is much better.
Yes.
The jokes are tighter. The cuts are better. Everything's better. And a bigger budget means a better quality movie.
That is exactly what I was going to say. The most important thing was your budget was bigger.
Yes.
Which means you had better camera, better guys to do the lighting, better guys to fucking hold your mics Sound,
Yep.
audio, blah, 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 blah. Everything in this movie
Was
is
upgraded.
just tighter
Yep.
than the first one. Even the way the guys look. You can tell their makeup
Yes.
artists were better. Their
Oh,
fucking
absolutely.
wardrobe was better. Everything they did. By
Yep.
the way, Taggart rocking the whole Gerald Ford look was the shit.
That's fantastic, and I think I have a Halloween costume for next year.
Hell yes.
But yeah, other than that, man, I got nothing else on this. This is funny from front to back. It's good action. Eddie Murphy did a fantastic job, obviously acting in this, but writing this script. So
Yeah, you look, we obviously make a big deal about Eddie Murphy on this show, rightfully so. I can speak for Armando once in my life by saying that I know Eddie and his comedy is probably one of the more influential parts of our lives in loving comedy.
yeah,
So you're always going to get that. But what I didn't realize about Eddie and was showcased in this movie was how many other comedians he put on before they were anything.
oh yeah,
Just because like Chris Rock's in this, Gilbert's in this. There's a ton of
Yep.
cameos and little bit parts for guys he was bringing up and introducing into this world
Yeah.
that made huge impacts themselves. And you just can't fuck with Eddie Murphy, dude.
well, that's all I got. You got anything else for this one?
No. Great movie. Great request. Keep them coming in. We are staying permanently 20 weeks booked out.
Yep.
So, yes, I have gotten your requests on PayPal. Yes, we are doing all the things you've sent us on PayPal. Follow us on Twitter and more the Kiss the Reviews page on Twitter
Yes.
to keep up with the list. That is the best way you're going to see it. We'll retweet it every now and again, but Christina keeps up with that like gangbusters for us. So the most comprehensive, up-to-date list, Kiss the Reviews on Twitter or Instagram. Best place to find it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What he said. With that, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1987's Beverly Hills Cop, Part 2.